Alright, today I'm going to show you how to make a paracord keychain or lanyard. Essentially, the differences that you can make this is if you want it big enough to go around your wrist, we can make this loop a little bit bigger. This one's big enough to go around my thumb, or you can make it big enough to go all the way around your neck. This has the Cobra weaving pattern, and the great thing about this is, or this skill, is that once you learn it kind of in this size, you can also shrink that down and make it in smaller sizes. So you can see that same pattern on the sliding knot here and this section of this Shambhala bracelet. So if you're interested in learning this, I've got another video on that you can check out, but we're going to start with this one here. So we're making this out of paracord. 550 paracord is the size, and paracord is short for parachute cord, and as you can see, it comes in lots of different colors. Great thing about it is that it can be undone, and it's a great way to learn knots because you can untie it pretty easily. So inside of it are little nylon fibers, and it's wrapped with this sheath that again can be lots of bright colors. So we're gonna get started with that. If you're interested in making one that's just big enough for your thumb, you're going to want 67 inches of the paracord. If you want one big enough for your hand to go through, you're going to want 77 inches. And if you want one big enough for your neck, you're going to need 87 inches of the paracord. So make sure, I recommend getting a pair of scissors, brand new pair that you only use for string and that sort of stuff if you're interested in the fabric or string, because it just, once you use them for paper or something like that, they just don't cut as well. The other thing you're going to want is some sort of key ring or a carabiner to put on the end of that. Alright, so let's get started. I've got a clipboard here, and I've got my directions printed out so that you can follow along beside me. And again, I've already cut my paracord here. I've cut this to the 67 inches because I'm just gonna have it just go around my thumb. So I've got the ends lined up, and I'm gonna follow that around here. So I'm basically finding the center of it. Okay, so once I've got the center of it, I'm gonna lay this down on here, and I'm gonna create an overhand knot, and that's gonna be the loop here, kind of what keeps it from moving around. So that's my overhand knot. So if I lay this down on my clipboard, you can see probably a little easier what I'm doing. I'm gonna take the end here and go across the front. Once I've got it across the front, I'm going to take that end of that loop and pull it through, and then I can adjust that to the size that I want. And again, the great thing about paracord is that you can undo that and kind of get it to the size that you need it to be. Okay, so I'll show you that one more time. So I've got the center of it. If I lay that down on my clipboard here and come across the front, now I'm going to take the end of this loop, pinch it together, and go behind it and up and out that hole. And then I can adjust this to the size that I need it to be, depending on if I wanted the thumb loop, the wrist loop, or the lanyard that goes all the way around my neck. So this one's a little bit too big, so I'm going to adjust this by pushing that knot a little closer together. Okay. Once I've got that, I just want to make sure this knot here is nice and neat and the size that I want it to be. Alright, so now here's where my clipboard comes into place. I'm going to clip my key ring off to the side there, and I'm going to take the two ends of my paracord, and I'm going to go down through that hole. So I had to unclip it to do that, but down through that hole and pull. Now I can clip it back in there. Alright, so I want my piece with the knot clipped in the center, and I want these other two pieces kind of going out to the side. And the measurements I gave you will give you enough cord to create 4 inches of weaving here. So that's what we want to do here. If you would like more, you just need to cut your string a little bit longer. So 4 inches from the knot to the key ring, and again making sure it goes down through the hole there. Okay. Once I have that tight and even and right at 4 inches, I'm going to put a piece of tape across this section here to hold this in place so it doesn't move. This is really only necessary at the beginning just because it kind of helps keep this nice and tight. Alright, I've got it zoomed in so you can see what I'm doing here. So the handout, you can see the lighter section. That's really what we're working on for each step. So we're going to repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again until we've filled this whole thing up. So you can see I'm starting on the right, just like that, and I'm going to repeat this mantra in front. And what that means is it's going in front of those strings there, and then in front, which means this one, now we're moving on to step 2, has to be in front of that one, and then behind, which is the next part of step 2. So in front, and then behind, and so I'm going to go behind these two and pull that up and out together. So essentially what I've tied here is half of a square knot. So I've got step 1, 2, now I'm ready for 3 and 4. I'm going to start on the right side again. Now my mantra is behind, and then this one is going to go behind and then in front. So in front, behind, 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 in front is my mantra, and that creates a full square knot there. Alright, so I've done step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm back to step 1. So again, the mantra is in front, behind, and then behind, in front. All right, so I showed you how to do that section. Now I'm going to show you what happens if you mess it up. So let's say we go in front, and then I forget to put this one in front, and I leave it behind, and then I go in front. You can see I've created this kind of pretzel, but the pretzel is all the way on the front side. If it's all the way on the front or all the way on the back, you've messed up. That pretzel needs to be around this. So let me show you what it's supposed to look like so you can compare. So in front, behind. So you can see my pretzel there is now around those two cords that are running down the middle. Okay, so in front, behind. Now the other thing you can do to mess up is do step 1, 2, and then do step 1 and 2 again. So let me show you what that looks like. So in front, and then behind, and you can see it doesn't lay flat. It wants to start to twist, and that's actually a different type of knot. If you just do 1, 2, 1, 2, that whole thing is going to twist all the way around. So in this case, we want this to lay nice and flat, so we don't want to do that. So again, the great thing about Paracord is that we can undo it. So how do you tell which step you were just on? If you just kind of push this open, you can see what the knot looks like, and it came up and out the hole like that. That's what it looks like. So now that tells me I just did that. I'm ready for step number 3. So if you really look here, if you say, well, it came up and out of the hole, or if it went down through the hole, I know that I need to do the opposite step. So it came up and out of the hole, so that's 2. So I'm ready for 3 and 4 then. So repeat my mantra: behind, in front, behind, and making sure that it's laying flat and making sure that it looks like a V everywhere. If you notice that your lines go parallel like we see right here, you've messed up your pattern, and you've repeated that same step because it started to turn. So make sure it stays flat, and make sure that each one of these you see a knot coming kind of step, 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 and they're connected with V's or a zigzag. Okay. So I'm going to finish this up and then show you how to finish the ends. Once I've gotten started here and the tape starts to get in my way, you can see I can peel that off. The other thing you want to do is make sure your pattern is nice and tight. And so once I've pulled it out, I can pull it out of the clipboard and just kind of snug it up and make sure it goes back in the same way. Alright, I've got to the very end and have just enough left over to make that last knot. So next thing I'm going to do is cut and burn the ends here. So I'm going to take my fabric scissors and I'm going to leave just a little bit right there and hold this out of the way and use a lighter. I'm just going to kiss the edge of that with the lighter. If it catches on fire, just blow it out, but I just want to melt it. And then I take the side of my lighter or an old spoon or butter knife and kind of mash that shut so that it flares out and won't come undone. Kind of make a little mushroom out of it. So again, I don't want to cut it right at it, and I'm holding this out of the way, and I'm holding that knot put so it doesn't go anywhere. And right up next to it, again, not right on it, melt it. And alright, so there's my finished Paracord keychain. So if you like that, please subscribe, and again, check out my Shambhala video if you're wanting to take this to the next step. Alright, go team!